Where do you see yourself in 20 or 30 years? Sunning on a beach or cruising in a Ferrari? Everyone dreams of that day in the future when they will be able to retire in comfort and do whatever they want all day. Or maybe it would be enough to swipe your card at the Dollar General and not worry about it getting declined. Either way, sometimes that day seems farther off than ever, especially if you feel like you're not making enough money to get by as it is. There's a lot of pressure right now to raise the minimum wage to $15. This would affect a lot of people, including you if you're in the minimum wage, if you are in the workforce or are planning to be soon. Not only is it doubling the current minimum wage, but it will also raise the wages of those in the $10 and $12 pay brackets, which must be a good thing. More is better, right? Or maybe what if it's not? I first became interested in income and cost and how minimum wage fits in when I took macro and microeconomics as requirements for my business degree plan. I've enjoyed getting back into it as I've researched the topic for this speech. Today, I hope to persuade you to vote against passing a $15 minimum wage law. Not only is it unnecessary because there are better ways to increase your income, but it would be harmful to the economy and every worker in it. Minimum wage does not have to be increased for lowly wage earners to become successful. As the political radio show host Rush Limbaugh said, $7.25 is the fair market value. As long as there are people willing to work for this value, there is nothing wrong with letting them do so. Many people who do believe in a $15 minimum wage argue that a family of four can't live on this wage alone. That is the point I have no interest in arguing. I would concede that it is actually true. What I want to point out is that the minimum wage is not meant to be a primary support for a family of four. It is the entry-level wage level. It is for the unskilled, the uneducated, or the teenager looking for a summer job. Anyone earning the minimum wage does not have to wait for the federal law to be changed before getting a raise for themselves. As Tom Mullen, writing for the Foundation of Economic Education, said, one can set one's own minimum wage. Mullen goes on to say that every employee owns his or her own labor exclusively. Minimum wage does not have to be a law for you to determine that there is a set amount at which you will work for no less. What a minimum wage law does is prevent someone else from getting a job when they are willing to work for an amount less than what the law says they must. An increase in the minimum wage is a gain for many in the short term, but in the long term it would be a cost not only for those same people but everyone else. A minimum wage increase has two effects. The first is unemployment for the unskilled. The economic law is that as price increases for a good, in this case labor, then demand will decrease. This is because money is a number that indicates value, but it does not determine it. An employee who is receiving more money is not necessarily generating more productivity. Sometimes this is true, but that is not an excuse for the government to step in and take away the right for an employer and employee to come to their own terms in buying and selling labor. When an employer is forced to pay a high rate, then he will expect something worth that rate in return. That automatically excludes the unskilled because they are not worth that rate. Another effect is inflation, which we have already seen. An employer who is already at the barest of employees who is facing a new wage hike must raise prices in order to keep the business going. We can see this happening in the fast food industry already, where most minimum wage workers are. Ellis Johnson of the Business Insider writes, median fast food hamburger prices have increased by 54%, while chicken sandwich prices have jumped by 27%. The rising prices come as minimum wage prices increase. A raise to $15 will reach into many other industries as well and cause inflation there. This cause of inflation is the same as the cause of unemployment. Money is a number that indicates value, it does not determine it. To illustrate this point, let me give you a simplified example. Suppose an owner of a business is selling chairs for $29. He is paying his employees at $7.25 an hour. That basically means that every employee can work 4 hours and buy one chair, or that the employer can sell one chair and buy 4 hours of work. If the minimum wage is increased, then the employee can now work 2 hours and buy one chair, but the employer who can only sell one chair and buy 2 hours. That is not enough to keep the business running, so the employer must raise the prices. Now everyone is making more money, but everyone is back at square one, because as the money number on the check rises, so does the number on the price tag. No matter what the employee is doing or being paid, his worth of work is the same in proportion to everything else. Everything stays the same, 4 hours of work for 1 chair. I want to repeat, the minimum wage does not have to be raised for a lowly wage earner to become successful. Success requires 2 ways of thinking: short term, as in paying bills today, and long term, as in someday reaching that day in the future you've dreamed about. For some short-term ideas, let me introduce you to J.D. Roth. J.D. Roth founded the website Get Rich Slowly as a way to chronicle his own journey from being thousands of dollars in debt to being debt-free and early retiring. He introduces 6 ways to escape the minimum wage. First is to work 2 jobs. Long hours are hard, but you have to keep in mind that this is short term. It will help you pay the bills and give you peace of mind so you can work out your next steps. Second is seek promotion. Remember that minimum wage is entry level. As soon as you've acquired skills and experience, it's time to advance. If that seems impossible, it may be time to change companies or even change professions. As Roth said, if you're working at the counter in a convenience store, you're better off taking another line of work. Also, avoid corporate giants. Big companies are focused on increasing their profit and decreasing their costs, including your wages. You do not have to tie yourself to that. Small businesses, in contrast, want their workers to be happy working for them. Finally, educate yourself. You are your own biggest asset, and as long as you are looking constantly for new ways to learn, you can become irreplaceable anywhere you go. As for the long term, investment is key. What would you do with $35 a week? You could do a movie night out or maybe get a new outfit. What about a retirement fund? It may sound boring, but that $35 a week invested wisely in tax-advantaged retirement accounts can, in 10 years, give you $110,000 or $150,000 in a higher rate of return. 40 years could give you $1.5 million. It's not so boring anymore. And remember that $35 is only 15% of a $12,000 salary. As you increase your wages, you can increase how much you're investing. That means that these numbers are actually low. To conclude, a $15 minimum wage is not the answer. It is less than obsolete because it will wreak havoc in an economy where there is already opportunity for low-paid workers. This is not a degrading lecture for anyone who feels stuck in a low-wage working place. This is an encouragement because you are not stuck, you are not at a dead end. You can begin now to work for yourself and raise yourself up. Who else is more capable of making sure that things are done right for you than you?